Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are going to be finally, as I'm caught up, doing a KvK group merge preview, where we're going to be showing you off the stats from the strongest kingdoms, alliances, players, and some other nice miscellaneous stats. Now, it should be noted that we're going to be looking at kind of 8 kingdoms at a time, and I'm only doing that because, one, I'm not really doing YouTube at the moment full-time as much as I'd love to. If I was, then I'd be happy to do individual videos for each KvK group, but for time sensitivity purposes and just to consolidate efforts and workload, we're going to do 8 at a time kind of going forward, where I'll try to essentially pull the data within the last 24 hours before the current, in this case, KvK group, which then leads into the next KvK group right now, starting for a couple days out. So for now, we have 119 through 121, or 122, excuse me. They, I believe, at least at the time of the record, well, at least at the time of when this recording is going to come out, they have already started. So they're probably going to be about maybe a day or two in at the most. And then we have 123 through 126. And then they're going to be starting, I believe, in a couple, what was it? They started 28, so I think they start in a couple days on 31 of the first. I think it's a few days difference, I believe, at minimum. So I don't actually have my sheet right in front of me, which I usually do. But you can see here from the data, we'll kind of take you through each group here when it comes to kind of who's strongest. We're going to look at some other missed stats too as well as we kind of go along. And yeah, so it should be good. So let's start with 119 through 122. So here you have 119 and I should also state this, right? The data was collected within about an hour window, I think 2 to 3 hours before reset going into the 28th. So now from 119 to 122, we got 119 on top for number 1 in this group at 8.7, almost 8.8 bill, 7.5 for 120, then 122 at 6.7, and then 121 at 6.4. You can see the strongest alliance in each group. Right, not too much of a big range here. You're looking at 237 versus 639 or 263. So, I mean, this is about 260, 275 million. Then you get into the range, right? And range, as we always define, is the strongest alliance minusing the number 7 alliances. We look at the top 7 alliances to essentially kind of get a rough sum total for kingdom power. At least at the moment, again, because would I rather them, let me say this as well, I always like to mention this, is that would I rather them extend the leaderboards to the top 1,000 and then we can just pull data for like the top 500 players or the top 300 or top 1,000 players and then essentially add those up? Yeah. I mean, to me, that would probably be better, but this is what we got for now. If I don't want to essentially kill my face off with too much workload. And then we look at the pool range. So pool range is based on the strongest kingdom versus the lowest powered kingdom at that time. So 119, 121, you see about a 2.4 billion difference. When we look at the group, you can see 119 has 65s unlocked. T5 barrier we're using is at about 43.5 mil. Again, you can unlock this earlier if you truly bare bones it, but just most people are not really truly bare bonesing it. Then you get to Castle 25s. You could see 19 has 41. And then the number 200 personal power, this is what we refer to as bubble positions. If you go on the leaderboards and you scroll all the way down, you can only go to the top 200. So we refer to the bubble position as the number 200 position, meaning that whatever that number is or whatever that defined value is, anyone above that is stronger or has more. So in this case, 10.66 million is the bubble for 119, and then you can see that 119 kind of leading in those categories as well. Then we get to the 123 through 126 group. You can see 126 at 5.85, 124 5.82, 123 is 5.7, 125 5.69. Now, this pool range, incredibly close, and you got 163 million, which is the difference here between the strongest kingdom when you look at the top 7 alliances versus the lowest power kingdom. Now, this to me could be a phenomenal matchup. It doesn't mean that the 119 through 122 group may not be great as well. It's just to make these like decent, you basically would have to do like 119 maybe pairing with 121 and then do 120 and 122. You could also go based on this, and you could say, well, let's pair 119 and 122, and then let's pair 120 and 121. So you can kind of even up with the T5 unlocks and the number of Castle 25s. That might actually be a little bit better if you're looking at trying to like fair matchups, for example. But when we look at 123 through 126, very, very fair, or just a lot more initially balanced, let's say that, with how they're coming in. Then we'll look at the top dogs here, right? So you have kind of the leaders here on each of these three categories. 123 has 5 T5s, and then you could see 125, 33 Castle 25s, and then 123 leading the bubble minimum here, which is at 9.174 million. So yeah, okay, let's look to the kind of top kingdoms. Well, we kind of already showed that. Let's look at top alliances. That's probably better. So we're going to take a look at top, and it's just because we're getting kind of a small pool here that we have. But if you look at the top alliances, we only went up to top 25 just because, again, we're not doing like the big 27 through 90 kingdom KvK group that we did where we went up to like the top 100 in a lot of categories. But for here, you can see the top 25 alliances all ordered based on power top down. You can see here for, now these include, I want to point out, these are not specific for each group. This is inclusive of 119 through 126. So you can see here, 121, 123, 120, 122, 119, 124, 125, 126, right? So you can kind of see that the top 8 kingdoms each have the top alliance in that group. The next closest one would be the second strongest alliance in 120, which is VSG. They're pretty close here to the number 8 TDV for Vengeance at 126. But you got 7 alliances over 2 bill. You got 20 alliances over a bill. And then kind of rounding out at the bottom for the bubble, which is at 837, right, for that kind of minimum threshold going up. Top 3, we got SOT, Soldiers of Tamaris at 2.6, and then No Name 2.60. And then we got LKU, Kingdom of Undead, 2.55. All right, let's look at some personal power. And I always mention to forget this in the very beginning, and I do apologize. I know if I usually mention in the beginning, it's more likely to be heard by more people. But I will be making this sheet available 24 hours after the video releases. I will post it in the pinned comment, and I'll also post it in the description 24 hours after this video comes up. Potentially, either 24 hours or less. Let me say that. Now we're going to look at personal power. So you can see here some of the top dogs. Bubble here is at 46.48 million. Some of the top dogs here, you got 3 players over 100 million power, which is, again, we got LTS Instinct at 110 from 119. You got LKU Prejovjaz. We're going to go with that, 105 mil from 120. And then you got the second member from 119, which is LTS's JQ Lisa 81. Kind of rounding out your top 3 there. You can see that you easily have 25 T5s here just from the power alone. So yeah, we'll have to see kind of how this plays out. We kind of showed you some of the numbers already in the previews. Even if you look at the T5s unlocked, we kind of showed that. Castle 25s are already unlocked. Bubble boards are always interesting to me because when you're kind of looking through the bubbles, you can see at least across, because we only showed you power, but you can look here for merits, you can look for RSS gathers, you can also look for Dragon Trail, where you can see here for personal merits, 119 kind of leads that charge, 120, 122, and then you can see here that as RSS gathered for 119, 120, and 122 kind of leading the top 3 there, right, 560 to 816. Dragon Trail a little wider here once you kind of start getting to the lower end, but 258 to 275. Again, this is pretty good when you look at 119 is at 275, understanding that the max there for Season 1 is 279. So you're 4 points off there for your top 200. They're getting a lot from Dragon Trail, given that they're constantly or still pushing it, if you will. So, or at least, trying to get as high as they can. So, but again, right, that to me is telling. Obviously, with 119 being the youngest kingdom, you kind of expect for them to be ahead in some of these numbers. But I just think it's always interesting to kind of look, right, and kind of see where they land, who kind of has maybe a stronger or more consolidated top 200. That information to me is always exciting to look at. Okie dokie, artichokes. That, I think, is going to be it for me, covering this KvK merge preview from Kingdoms 119 to 126 for the 2 groups, 119 through 122, and then 123 through 126. Would love to know your thoughts, right, on everything we've showed. If you're someone from this kingdom, if you're not from any of these kingdoms, let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. That's going to be it for me. As always, until next time, I will catch you later.